May it be a light for you in dark places when all other lights go out.
Hello guys, welcome to another episode of A Light in the Dark. This is just a discussion channel for the DCHL where while you paint or do whatever, I can go ahead and talk to you guys about my thoughts on tactics and discussions and different ways to play the game and just anything that might bring light to something that you're a little gray on, that you're not fully getting or anything like that. This is just from me playing the game for 14 years and advice that others have taught me and other players that have shown throughout my time playing the game. So hopefully you guys learned something, and maybe you guys in the comment section can teach me something today. This discussion is actually not going to be about tactics or the game itself. It's actually going to be about some recent news that popped up for the Lord of the Rings. As many of you guys know, there's some rumors that have gone on about the license for the Games Workshop franchise, the whole Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit and everything like that. And then also there's been a lot of wondering about the whole Dain and where the Iron Hills dwarves are. And I just kind of wanted to give my thoughts on those. Since they are big topics, I figure, hey, why not? I have some pretty good theories about it. I've told a couple people my theories, and these are just theories. Okay, this is not really based on anything other than just the logic that I've come up with. So I'm very interested if any of you guys can maybe say whether you agree with it, disagree with it, and a logical argument of why. And I understand rumors are just rumors, and we'll end up learning the truth of it 2 years from now. But while it's still in everybody's mind, a lot of people would like some kind of ease and comfort about it. So I just figured maybe I can give some comforting thoughts. I am still a little positive, optimistic about both of those subjects. So the first one I'm going to talk about is Dain and the Iron Hills Dwarves. This has actually been a big question ever since they never showed up. The Iron Hills Dwarves, the Ram Riders, and all of the things that came up for Azog's Hunters never showed up in the Battle of Five Armies book. And a lot of people have been asking, okay, why are they not here? So I guess when we look at some of the history of The Hobbit, we start to notice something weird with Games Workshop and the Tolkien Enterprises and Weta Workshop and all them. And the big thing we noticed was, the first thing was Azog. Azog's model had a mace, and yet it was given a lance. Later on, it was given a lance in the rulebook. I'm sorry. Yes, a lance in the rulebook. And later on, we realized that Games Workshop was under the impression that the Yazneg model that came out later was supposed to be Azog. And that made sense. Everyone was like, oh, okay, they CGI'd him later on, so it made sense. And they turned Yazneg into another character. And then we look at the situation with Bolg. Bolg was completely messed up. Like, it was like, okay, this looks nothing like the actual Bolg thing. And actually, even worse than that, when we saw the first Hobbit movie, we were kind of weirded out when we saw there was no Bolg in the movie. It's like Games Workshop completely invented the character, and it was like, okay, what happened? Later on, footage came up. That was the original design for Bolg. And then, once again, they CGI'd him into the movie. Then, obviously, some other rewrites and stuff like that. Azog eventually took its place where Bolg was supposed to be. As everyone knows in the books, Bolg is Azog, is what Azog is for the movie. And so we found that out. Okay. And what I'm getting at here is Games Workshop seems to have an advance notice, and a month's in advance notice, on what the movies were doing. And this actually put them at kind of a disadvantage. Of course, they needed enough time to produce the molds and everything like that, and to get them approved and mass-produced in time for the movie. But the problem was, CGI is not ready until the later productions of the movie. That's actually done kind of last. The only scenes that are ever shot first are ones that they intend to use in the trailer, and that's because movies are shot out of order. It's never shot in the sequence that we watch them in. And so another example of this is actually Thrain the Broken. Thrain the Broken came out, and yet we didn't see him on the screen. We later found out, hey, he's in the extended edition. And so now I bring you to the Battle of Five Armies. What has come out so far? We've got Thorin's Company, Elves, and Lake Town. Makes sense. Now, look at what hasn't come out. All the CGI orcs that we saw in the Battle of Five Armies, all the CGI dwarfs, and hell, even the CGI dwarf leader, Bill Connolly, I mean, because for some reason he was CGI'd as well. But for the most part, it was a bunch of CGI'd characters. That is what hasn't come out yet. So my theory on Dain, just to kind of ease the minds of some people. Like I said, this is just me kind of using logic and whatnot. There's no, real basis on this. But my mindset on this is that Games Workshop just sort of didn't want to produce the model, or couldn't produce the model because they didn't know what it looked like. They had no idea what it looked like. So therefore, they had to go ahead, play it safe, and just not do anything on it at all. Now, there has been some rumors about a War of the Ring update. I don't know if this is true or not, but that makes sense that you would put a Battle of Five Armies thing in there. Actually, this goes into a theory I've seen online, actually by one of our DCHL members, who mentioned that you'll notice in the source books of the Battle of Five Armies, the one we just got recently, it's a bunch of small pitched battles. The Battle of Ravenhill, Smaug, which I know seems like a massive battle, but it's actually kind of a quick match. When we played it, we have a battle report coming on that. It's a pretty quick match. Everything's really, really quick stuff, but nothing for the actual Battle of the Five Armies. And some could argue it's because Games Workshop knew they weren't going to produce the model, but I don't think so. I actually think that would be a huge moneymaker. Why would you not want to do that? Now, there's another thing that's going around, a kind of a known fact, at least a pretty commonly believed fact, is that Games Workshop has to produce models, so many models every year. Now, this is coming directly from Games Workshop managers. Okay, this is coming from regional managers. So this is pretty much as confirmed fact as you can get. It's coming from Games Workshop staff. Obviously, it's not coming from CEOs, or at least that I know of. I'm sorry, I'm getting it from, my management. But also you can think of the fact that Games Workshop has continued to produce something every single year, almost like it is a requirement, really. They kind of just knock it out the way in March, and then you never see anything about it again. So my point is, if they have to keep producing models till 2017, okay, we're ignoring the license thing, we'll get to that in a minute, but till 2017, which is when the current license is over with, if they have to keep producing models, then why not, for 2 years later, because remember, they have 2 years after this movie where they have to keep producing models, just leave all the CGI characters and don't put them out. You don't know what they're going to look like. As we've seen, Games Workshop has no idea. Bold, Zog, stuff like that. So, just wait. I think, based on all of this that I've just told you here, that we are going to see Dwarven Ram Riders, the Iron Hills Dwarves. We're going to see them. Anyone who thinks we're not, I think is silly. And even honestly, Games Workshop knows that people want this. Now, I understand there is a big kind of an elephant in the room here. What about Thranduil on the Elk? Okay, he's been there since the Hobbit movies. We haven't seen him. And how many people have outcried about this? It's been such an outcry that even Deadmar Spectre made a converted model for the thing. And, it's a huge outcry. Everyone wants Thranduil on the Elk. There are people who won't buy the one on horse because they're expecting the one on the Elk will come out later. Sort of like what they did with Bjorn. Understood, completely understandable. I can understand why people think that kind of puts a monkey wrench into this whole theory. Is like, okay, well, they knew about it long ago, why haven't they done it? I honestly can't say for why. They might be trying a trick where, like Bjorn came out as a foot model and then later on came out with a bear. I think that foot and bear thing was actually due to, once again, they had no idea what the bear looked like. So they had to just put out Bjorn and make rules for a bear based on what they hoped it would do. And I think we've seen other examples of stuff like that. But I can't actually speak for why they didn't put out the elk. I don't actually have a good theory, and I'd actually be interested if any of you guys have a good theory. But I still think my theory on why the Iron Hills Dwarves haven't come out yet still stands. They got to produce more models for the rest until 2017. Those are your models. What else are they going to do? I guess they can keep pumping out the White Council every year because God knows we need more of those. I mean, how many Gandalf models do we have now at this point? So, anyway, though, that joking aside, I think that's a good explanation. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Now, the second thing that people have heard is the licenses being extended. And this is a rumor that's come from a NAFTA blog. Now, they've been, I guess, a pretty reliable source, according to some. And no one really knows, one, if this is true, okay? And it's just so you know, it's the extension is for 5 years. So it's from 2017 to now, I guess, 2022. And no one knows why this is happening. One, if it's happening, but let's assume it is, okay? No one knows why. There's pretty much two main theories behind this, and one is to kind of keep business from other companies, that the Lord of the Rings game is doing well enough. They want to see kind of where it goes. And the other theory is that they're just trying to burn out the models. Essentially, they just want to kind of have 5 more years to run through the model line. Now, this is a pretty convincing theory, the second one, in the fact that, okay, they just want to get rid of their stock, get rid of the molds. A lot of these molds, if they just stop with it, then they basically have to break them and do nothing. Now, I know nothing about molds. I knew nothing about the molding process. So that might not really give me too much ability to logically analyze it. So this is really just a theory, okay? But my thinking is, if you're a company like Games Workshop, and you've known for 10 years that how your game is selling. Remember, this is a company that it knows exactly the condition of its market in the Lord of the Rings line. If you know this, and you know your license ends in 2017, why would you produce more than you can sell? Okay, they've seen the trend since The Hobbit's come out. So let's say you're a company, you know that you're only going to be able to sell so many units. Well, I wouldn't produce more than that. So I'm thinking, okay, you got the other thing, temporarily out of stock. Everyone noticed all over online, everything is temporarily out of stock. I guess we could say that they are slowly producing it. Either that or they are selling far more than they expected. Now, there's a letter from Games Workshop that came out on the One Ring that the letter, it's an official letter from Games Workshop saying that the models are selling much better than expected and hence are burning out. Now, it's possible they wouldn't just tell the person, hey, you know, these things sell like crap and we only want to produce like a couple and then we reproduce them. And that's possible too. But there's some merit in what they're saying. I don't see the reason to keep reproducing it if you're, if you're trying to get rid of it. And let's say they have to use the mold a certain number of times, and they're like, okay, just produce 4, and then see how it sells. Produce 4, see how it sells. And I guess maybe that business strategy works as far as reprinting the mold, reprinting the model from the casting or whatever it is, however they produce it. But I feel like if you're gonna try to burn out on stock, you would have planned that in advance. Why even produce the Battle of 5 Armies, I guess? Let's say they have to. They have to produce a certain amount of models every single year. Well, if they have to produce a certain amount of models, we go by the trend, and it seems like they're producing about 3 box sets. So just produce 3 box sets, and I don't know, maybe how long a mold lasts. Maybe, I don't know if a license is worth extending for 5 years just to burn out on a couple models. But who knows? I could be wrong on that. That one's kind of more interesting. But let's say that is the case. All right? Let's go with worst case scenario here because I'll be honest with you, given what's going on online, it is very easy to be pessimistic about this. Let us say that, we're never going to have this game after 2022. We knew about this a long time ago, but I understand it's just like death. Everyone knows it's coming, but it doesn't make it any more comforting when it does, right? You knew it was coming. Why didn't you plan for this? I think that if we make the community big enough, okay, if we, the DCHL, the GDHL, and everyone else pushes hard enough for these next 5 years, hell, even if it's 2 years, and let's say the rumor's not true. But if it is, that gives us an extra 5 years to push. Okay, we get so many players into it that it won't matter if Games Workshop cancels the game. We'll still have our game. Okay, by then the GBHL and the DCHL will be so experienced in this, and whoever else crops up in that time, who knows? GBHL just came out 2 years ago, and now we're coming out, and I think we're a pretty official force to be reckoned with. We produce videos, we have a website, we have content, we support the hobby, and we are coming out with tournaments just like they do. We will be pushing toward the conventions. If we keep this continued support, then we'll be able to have so many players it won't matter. The one thing about Lord of the Rings players is we're used to not having support. This is normal for us. So, since when do we ever really have support? It's nice when our sourcebook updates come out and stuff like that, but when did we really ever have some serious support? Probably back in the beginning, but that was unfortunately, and some will put me under fire for saying this, but the game kind of sucked. Comparatively. That was back in a day where you needed to roll a 6 to kill anything. If you played more than 300 points, then you were going to be playing all day. The game sucked. I'm sorry, I'm putting it out there as it is. I would have rather played 40K. And I did actually for a little bit. I play a game based on its merits. I love the Lord of the Rings because the game is hands down the best of the three systems that Games Workshop has. And unfortunately, that's not translating to sales. But that is simply because we don't have the community base. That's what everyone always says. I don't play because no one plays. So essentially, everybody's not playing because nobody's playing. If you get out there and play the game, all right, get out there and we broadcast it, then we'll have a strong community. Then, let's say it goes through. All right, let's say that the contract ends, it's all gone, but we can still play the game, right? The GBHL, any of us can produce supplements, all right, like an Anglar supplement. Where is Queen Brethiel? Where is the werewolves? Where is, all these other models that we could easily throw in there, okay? We can make supplements. We already got people on the One Ring doing a Rohan supplement. We can make these and keep the game going. Already, a lot of our models have profiles that don't exist. Okay, there's plenty of them. I mean, even something as simple as a foot model of Son of Errol. There's a lot of these models that don't exist, and you have to create something for them. War of the Ring is another example of that. Tons of models that were kind of projected. Legions of Middle-earth did the same thing back in like 2010 or 2007. So I think we can come up with our own. The GBHL is shown to come out with quality magazines. Okay, we put that quality into our supplements, okay, and it becomes a game that continues. It's a franchise that continues, for us anyway. And if our community is that big, none of us are ever leaving, because as I said, all of us are used to no support. We play the game either for one or two reasons. One, it's a great game, which is the reason I play, and two, because the lore is awesome. Tolkien wrote a better lore than, honestly, personally, I feel that Games Workshop could ever produce. And some people may disagree with that, but one has a movie business, and one has been throughout the ages, and the other one, has a miniatures line that, has wavered. And so, I mean, hey, it is what it is. It doesn't matter whose competition it is, but the thing is, we can easily keep this hobby going. I think we can keep it going beyond 2022 or beyond 2017, and so as long as we want it to go. So let me know in the comment section below what you guys think of all that. What you think of my theories, where you think I'm wrong on that, anything like that, or if you agree with the fact that we can create our own supplements, we can keep going and keep producing. Obviously, we may not have the models. I understand that. Some people will say that, well, we can't do it without the models. Let's be honest here. Many of you are ordering from Gripping Beast and all these other companies. A lot of you do that. So there you go. I guess we're getting our next set of Dunelending Wildmen from the Gripping Beast Viking Herdsman or whatever. So, hey, not a problem. No one's going to mind it. I mean, it's not like there was a movie version of the Fiefdoms Army, yet we have a Fiefdoms Army. So, in hell, the Lamadon guys look like Scotsmen. So, there you go. If you need more Lamadon armies, just go to the, Historicon type of stuff, any of the historical miniatures, and get some Scottish warriors, and they'll all look the part. So, I think we're not going to have a problem with the miniatures line, even if Games Workshop stops completely. So, as I said, let me know what you think. And thanks for watching.